phone conversation to Chris Hodgkinson, 21st of January 2013.
Hello, good morning, Officer County Councils. Can I help?
Yeah, hello there. Can I speak to Chris Hodgkinson, please?
Sure. Can I take your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Mark Wyatt.
Mark Wyatt. Okay, you can just hold for a moment.
Thank you.
Hello?
Chris?
Hello.
Hello there, it's Mark Wyatt here.
Hello, Mark.
Chris, I sent you an email just before Christmas. Remember we had a chat about the waste transfer notes from Putnams?
Yeah.
Now I sent you an email from Putnams that was sent to you on the, I think it was the 23rd of August 2010. And in that email, I think Digit Hyde actually indicated the exact amount that their lorries carried. It wasn't a roundabout figure, it was the exact amount, so it was 14 cube or 20 tons.
Right.
Now, can you tell me why you can't give me the exact volume that was taken off of that site based on those figures?
Well, no. Why is it up to me to give you exact volumes?
Well, you don't have to give me exact. Well, you had the amount of waste transfer notes, didn't you?
Yeah.
Dad delivered those to you. In those waste transfer notes were the exact amounts of how many lorries went onto that site and took material off of that site.
Yeah.
Digit Hyde has told you how much those lorries carry, 14 cube exactly, or 20 tons exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know why you can't work out how much the total volume of that material is.
Well, I don't see why that's relevant.
Well, it is relevant. I'll tell you why it's relevant, Chris, is because that material was taken off of that site in 2010. Beg your pardon, in 2009. You had the tickets for that in 2010, and yet your solicitor and your barrister can't give an amount to the court. They're saying that amount hasn't been confirmed, and yet Digit Hyde sent you an email on the 23rd of the 10th, 2010, giving you the exact volume and the exact weight of the.
It's not. We can only say what was on the notes, can't we?
Yeah, and so do you think then, Chris, that we'd have lorries on that site? We'd pay for the lorries to pick material up off of that site and let them leave half empty.
No, but I mean, surely Digit Hyde can tell you how much was. She can provide you with the details of what was.
Well,
and that your dad told me that he contracted James Poole to remove it, so surely James can provide you with details of how much he removed.
Look, Chris, let's not try and beat around the bush here. You were given, when I spoke to you last, you said that Digit Hyde hadn't given you an exact figure. You said that she gave you a figure in between, an in-between figure between 14 and 16 cube per lorry load. Now that wasn't true. What she gave you in her letter was an exact figure, 14 cube or 20 tons. Now from
were there amounts on those tickets?
Yes. What it said what it said on the tickets, Chris.
Yeah.
If you look at the tickets, and I'm sure you've still got copies of them, you'll see that she refers to 8-wheelers. Now in this letter, it says that their 8-wheelers carry 14 cube or 20 tons.
Okay.
All right. So from that, you should be able to work out exactly what the figure is. So for you to say you can't give a figure, that's just not the case, is it? That's not true. All you need to do is times the amount of loads by the tonnage, and you'll have the total volume. That is it.
But why is the onus on me to provide a figure?
Well, because we gave you the tickets. We were asked to give you the waste.
Were incomplete. Were not properly filled out.
Yes, they were. They were complete.
No, they weren't. They didn't have any volumes on them.
Well, they don't have to have volumes on them because most of the waste. Listen, most of the waste.
Every other waste ticket that I've seen contains a volume.
No, it doesn't.
Or a weight.
If you listen to what and look at what Digit Hyde is telling you, and she works in the haulage industry. She works with waste all day long.
How much she runs the yard. She can say how much she'd say to me.
Let me just put it this way then, Chris. She told me that they were doing work for McKenna and Shearns recently, and they were taking stuff off of a site and putting it into into landfill, and the landfill and the site were accepting that they were just putting on the tickets that it was 8-wheel loads.
Okay.
All right, so that is an accepted practice because all of the landfill sites around it in Oxfordshire that take material on, they take it by the load. So it's not charged by the weight. It's charged by the load.
Wow.
So for you in the council to say, look, every ticket that comes onto into any landfill has got to have the volume onto it is total rubbish. All of the landfill sites, they pay these contractors and these hauliers pay by the load, and therefore the clients pay by the load. And if you know how much a lorry carries, i.e. 20 tons, all you need to do is times that by the amount of tickets, and you have the total volume.
Okay.
So for the council then to tell the courts that they can't ascertain what the total volume was is total rubbish. Right. So I want from you, as the senior enforcement officer in the county council, what I want from you is a calculation of how much was on those tickets and the total volume.
Well, my solicitor told me that I can't provide that.
And who is when you say your solicitor, do you mean your personal solicitor or the county council solicitor?
County Council solicitor.
So, and who exactly is that?
That's Nick Graham.
So Nick Graham has said that you as a senior enforcement officer who has delivery of those tickets cannot give us a total volume for the material that...
I have a management instruction.
Yeah.
Not to be involved in this case at all.
Well, you are involved, Chris, because you were given the tickets. So
but you tape recorded me, and I was disciplined for that, and because of that, I'm not allowed to have any involvement in the case whatsoever.
Well, just all
communication has to be through.
When we tape recorded you, Chris, were you lying?
Well, no, but I mean, I didn't know that I was being tape recorded, so.
Well, all I'm saying to you is, when you were tape recorded, were you lying?
Well, I was giving personal opinion and not the opinion of the council.
So, okay, so in what are we talking about here? The waste transfer notes or the material on the site?
Nothing. I'm not talking about that at all.
So we're talking about, you were given a personal opinion. What I'm asking you about, this conversation is about, at the moment, is about the waste transfer notes. I want to know, that what you're saying then is that you're not capable of timesing the amount of tickets by what Digit Putnam told you in that letter to give a total volume. Is that what you're saying? And you're saying that the county council solicitor has told you that you're not allowed to do that. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that I'm not allowed to be involved in the case at all.
Yeah, but you are involved. I mean, let's not get away from that. My father gave you waste transfer notes. On those transfer notes was a certain amount of tickets.
And the council has dealt with the transfer notes in affidavit in the High Court.
Well, no, they haven't, I'm afraid. And if they have, they bloody lied. Let's be honest about it. You were given a letter from Putnams that the council, I think, were hoping wasn't going to come to fruition. In that letter, what you told me in a conversation just before Christmas is that it was difficult to understand what Putnams were saying. You said that they were saying it was between 14 and 16 cube. I think you mentioned. Well, it wasn't. What Putnam said, it was exactly 14 cube or 20 tons. So you as the senior enforcement officer should be able to calculate that figure.
But I don't think there's any dispute that material went off of the site, is there? Not according to the affidavit.
Yes, there is, because when we went to the appeal, when we went to the appeal just before on the 7th of December, what your counsel and your solicitor Nick Graham said was that they couldn't agree that that material was taken off. Now, I'm sorry, but and if it was taken off, they said that the amount wasn't known. Well, I'm sorry, Chris. You had a letter from Putnams saying the exact figure that was held within those lorries. You had the exact figure of how many lorries went off. You had the exact type of lorries that went off. So you knew the actual figure itself, and therefore the council did, and therefore your solicitor did also.
Well, all that information is in Rob Dance's affidavit, which deals with the exchange of emails at that time.
Well, that never came up in the court, Chris. My point is this: your barrister.
But that's to your solicitor and your advisors to point that out, isn't it? That has been dealt with in the court. No. You're
not going to put this on our team. What's happened here is your team has given misinformation to the courts.
Well, no, we haven't. Well, I don't know because I wasn't there.
Well, I was.
So
I was.
You were, obviously. So, and I wasn't there because I have no involvement. I'm not allowed to have it. I shouldn't really be having this conversation with you because all inquiries from you and from in regard to this case has to be referred to Nick Graham.
Well, not for long. I wouldn't have thought.
Okay.
I don't think Nick Graham will be around much longer, to be honest.
Okay.
But so just to confirm, then.
I'm just, look, Mark, these people pay my wages. If I'm instructed not to have any dealings with the case, I can't have any dealings with the case.
Look. Let me say this, Chris. Let me say this. Yeah, those people pay your wages, and at the moment, you know what they're saying is bloody wrong, and as a result of that, my father and his brother are in prison. Let's not forget that. Now, if you're happy for that to stay on your conscience, so be it.
Don't turn it. That's ridiculous. Mark,
well, so be it, Chris, because you know what they're saying is not the case.
That's not fair at all.
Well, you know what they're saying, Chris, is not the case. You've been on that site. You've looked and confirmed that there was no waste on that site where we dug, same as John Hamilton did. And now, if you're happy for them to lie like they are and deceive.
There is waste on the site. There's that bit round Mansell's property, which I think we did say. No, we actually no, because John Hamilton, when we came onto site, we stripped that corner of the site and we asked John specifically if he could see any waste, and he confirmed that he couldn't. Now, if you, Chris, if you know where there's any waste on that site and you can positively identify it, come and do it. But don't try and pull that one on me, because I'm not quite the same as Dad. And like I say, you know what the facts are. Now, if you're quite happy for my father and his brother to remain in prison, knowing what you know, that's okay by you. Well, we'll have to see what happens. I want a letter from you, Chris, telling me how much material was taken off that site in 2009. Now, all you've got to do is a simple calculation, looking at what Putnam's letter says, and then timesing it by the amount of vehicles that left that site. I'm not going to provide you with that letter.
And why is that?
You need to write to Nick Graham for that.
Well, Nick Graham never dealt with it, Chris. It was you that dealt with it.
Yeah, but he's the officer in the council dealing with this case.
No, he's a lawyer in the council dealing with this case. He's not an officer. He's a lawyer.
He's the officer at the point of contact.
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He's not the officer. You're the point of contact as far as the officers go, who make the calculations, who tell the lawyers what the facts are.
No, well, I mean, I've
been instructed to advise you to contact Nick Graham. Now, I mean, there's also obviously there's the management of the council as well. So there's the deputy director is
Tugwell.
Martin Tugwell.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could write to him.
I wrote to Tug. Let me tell you this, Chris. I wrote to Martin Tugwell on the 9th of December, and I wrote to him on the 6th of January, and I'm still waiting for a reply. That's the sort of people that you've got working at the council at the moment.
But they're my bosses.
Well, I couldn't give a monkey's who they are, to be honest.
No, I know you couldn't, but that's fair enough to you. But I mean, you know, that.
They don't mean nothing to me. I mean, I want answers to questions that you've been given the information to. We were asked to provide you with the waste transfer notes. We did. The amount that was in those lorries is stipulated by Putnams. The exact amount that is. There's no getting away from that when you look at that email. All you've got to do is times the amount of lorries by the what they carry, and there's your total volume. And for your barrister and your lawyer to say at that inquiry that they can't agree to a figure that came off at that time, that is just completely shameful. And for you to know that that's gone on doesn't hold you in much good light, Chris, I have to say. I thought you were better than that.
Okay then, Mark.
All right.
Right. Okay,
Well,
thanks.
okay.